The quiet winter night seemed like any other, as the family slept peacefully in their warm suburban home. Outside, snow blanketed the streets, muffling the world into silence. But inside, an invisible killer was at work. A deadly gas, carbon monoxide, was leaking silently into the air. The family had no idea their lives were in grave danger. Yet, while they slept, their cat Luna was wide awake. The sleek gray tabby began pacing the house, her sharp green eyes filled with urgency. She meowed loudly, scratching at doors, refusing to settle down. Something wasn't right, and Luna could feel it. What she did next would turn an ordinary pet into an extraordinary hero. The family of 4 lived a simple, happy life in a cozy suburban home. The father, David, worked as an accountant, a steady and calm presence who always prioritized his family. His wife, Emma, was a kind and creative spirit, balancing her time between freelance writing and caring for their 2 children. 7-year-old Lily was full of curiosity, her laughter often echoing through the house, while her younger brother, Max, just 3, followed her around with wide, admiring eyes. Their home was warm and inviting, with shelves lined with books, a wooden fireplace crackling in the corner, and soft toys scattered across the living room floor. Among these toys was one that always stood out, a small, felt mouse, slightly chewed and battered. It belonged to the 5th member of the family, Luna, their sleek gray tabby cat. Luna had joined the family 2 years earlier, a rescue cat that Lily had picked out from a local shelter. From the moment Luna arrived, it was clear she wasn't just a pet, she was family. Her sharp green eyes often seemed to watch over the household with quiet intelligence, and her playful antics brought endless joy. Luna had a unique bond with each member of the family. She would curl up on David's lap as he worked late into the night, her steady purring blending with the tapping of his keyboard. With Emma, she was a companion during quiet mornings, often perching on the windowsill as Emma sipped coffee and wrote. For Lily and Max, Luna was their playmate, patiently enduring tea parties and always ready to pounce on a dangling ribbon or ball. Though affectionate, Luna had a keen, almost protective side. She was the first to investigate strange noises or changes in the house. If Max cried in his sleep, Luna would paw gently at Emma's door until she woke. It was this sharp instinct, this connection to the family, that would soon become their saving grace. On this fateful night, the family tucked themselves in as usual, the warmth of their home shielding them from the cold outside. But as they drifted off to sleep, the silent, deadly gas began to spread. Luna, as always, had taken her spot near the foot of Lily's bed, her watchful eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. But something stirred within her. A sense that something wasn't right. Luna's ears twitched, and she lifted her head, sniffing the air. The usually calm and composed cat grew restless, pacing through the house with a purpose no one understood yet. Her family was in danger, and Luna was the only one who could save them. The night was unnervingly still, the kind of silence that blankets a home during deep sleep. The snow outside had created a quiet world, and inside the family lay soundly in their beds, wrapped in warm blankets. Unseen and unfelt, an insidious danger crept through the walls, a silent killer that gave no warning. It started with the furnace in the basement, an older model that had seen better days. That evening, it malfunctioned, releasing carbon monoxide into the air. The gas, odorless and colorless, was impossible to detect without special alarms. It seeped silently through the vents, filling the home one room at a time. David and Emma, exhausted from a long day, were the first to feel its effects, though they didn't realize it. The gas made their breaths shallower and their sleep heavier. Upstairs, Lily stirred faintly in her bed, her dreams turning uneasy as the oxygen in her bloodstream slowly diminished. Little Max remained still, his small chest rising and falling in rhythmic slowness, oblivious to the danger. The house, which had always been a place of comfort and safety, was now a ticking time bomb. Without a sound or sign, the gas worked its way through the air, threatening to steal away the lives of everyone inside. But in the quiet, someone was awake. Luna, the family's ever-watchful cat, stirred uneasily in the dim light. Her sharp green eyes flicked open, and her ears twitched as though detecting something imperceptible. She lifted her head, sniffing the air, sensing that something was wrong. Luna leaped down from Lily's bed, her movements deliberate and urgent. She began to pace the hallways, her tail flicking anxiously, Every so often she stopped to meow, a sharp, insistent sound that echoed faintly in the stillness. But no one stirred. In the parents' bedroom, the air was heavy, and David groaned softly in his sleep, turning his face into the pillow. Emma's breathing was shallow, her body slack with the weight of carbon monoxide. Luna pawed at their door, her claws scratching softly against the wood, but still, they didn't wake. The cat grew more frantic, her pacing becoming quicker as she moved from room to room. She leaped onto Max's crib, sniffing his face and nudging his small hand with her nose. When he didn't wake, Luna let out a plaintive cry, her instincts screaming that something was horribly wrong. The furnace continued to hum faintly in the basement, releasing more of the deadly gas with each passing minute. Luna, the only one unaffected, was now the family's sole line of defense. And she wasn't giving up. The clock ticked past midnight, and the house was eerily silent, save for the faint hum of the malfunctioning furnace. The invisible threat of carbon monoxide continued to spread, its deadly presence undetectable by the family as they lay motionless in their beds. But Luna, their loyal and intuitive gray tabby cat, refused to get into the stillness. In the parents' bedroom, the air had grown heavier, and David's breathing was labored. Luna paced anxiously outside the door, her sharp green eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She scratched at the door again, harder this time, letting out an urgent, piercing meow. When there was no response, she leaped onto the handle, her small weight causing it to shift slightly. The door creaked open, and Luna darted inside. She jumped onto the bed, her paws landing near David's chest. Nudging his face with her nose, she meowed persistently, her cries growing louder. David stirred faintly, his brows furrowing in confusion, but his eyes remained closed. Luna wasn't giving up. She clawed lightly at his arm and licked his hand, her sharp meows cutting through the thick haze of his unconsciousness. Finally, David's eyes fluttered open. Disoriented and groggy, he blinked at the sight of Luna, her small face inches from his. At first, he thought she wanted attention, but her insistent cries and unusual behavior broke through his fogged thoughts. Struggling to sit up, he realized something was wrong. His head felt heavy, his limbs weak, and a wave of nausea swept over him. Luna jumped off the bed and darted toward the hallway, stopping at the doorway to look back at him. Her eyes seemed to urge him to follow, and though his movements were slow and unsteady, David forced himself to his feet. In the hallway, the cold air from an open window helped clear his head slightly, enough for him to realize the gravity of the situation. The house smelled faintly metallic, though he couldn't place it. Luna ran ahead, stopping at the children's room and pawing at their door. David stumbled forward, adrenaline beginning to override his dizziness. He opened the door to find Luna perched on Lily's bed, nudging her face and pawing at her blankets. The little girl stirred, but didn't wake, her breathing shallow and her cheeks unusually pale. David shook her gently, his voice trembling as he called her name. "Lily, wake up." At the sound of her father's voice, Lily's eyes fluttered open. She let out a faint groan, her small hands reaching for his. "Daddy, I feel weird," she whispered. Luna leaped down and ran to Max's crib, jumping onto the rail and meowing frantically. David scooped up Lily and rushed to Max, lifting the toddler into his arms. He felt weak and unsteady, but Luna's persistent cries guided him back down the hallway toward the front door. Emma, still asleep in their bedroom, hadn't stirred. Luna sprinted back toward her, pawing and meowing loudly. David realized his wife was still in danger. Placing the children on the couch near the open window, he staggered back to the bedroom, calling her name. Luna was already there, climbing onto Emma's chest and pawing at her face. Emma's eyes flickered open, and David grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the door as she struggled to wake fully. "We have to get out," he shouted, his voice hoarse. The freezing air outside hit them like a shockwave as the family tumbled onto the snowy front lawn. David fell to his knees, clutching Max tightly as Emma held Lily close. Luna circled them, her tail flicking anxiously, her sharp cries finally softening as the family breathed in the clean, cold air. Moments later, flashing red and blue lights illuminated the street. A neighbor, hearing Luna's frantic meows and David's shouts, had called emergency services. Paramedics rushed to the family, administering oxygen masks and checking their vitals. One of the responders shook his head in disbelief. "You're lucky," he said. The levels of carbon monoxide in your house are lethal. If you'd stayed in there any longer." He didn't finish the sentence. David looked at Luna, who sat quietly by his side now, her green eyes still watchful. He reached out and stroked her fur, his voice breaking. "She saved us. If it wasn't for Luna, we wouldn't have made it out." The paramedic smiled softly, nodding. "Looks like you've got a hero on your hands." As the freezing night enveloped the family, they huddled together on the snowy front lawn, shivering but alive. Luna, their sleek gray tabby cat, circled them protectively, her tail flicking anxiously as if to ensure everyone was accounted for. The children, Lily and Max, clung to their parents, their breaths visible in the icy air, while David and Emma tried to steady their racing hearts. The distant sound of sirens grew louder, and soon the flashing lights of emergency vehicles illuminated the quiet suburban street. Paramedics rushed to the scene, their footsteps crunching on the snow as they approached the family. One of them knelt beside David, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. "Are you all okay?" the paramedic asked, scanning the family with practiced urgency. David, still dazed, nodded weakly. "It was the cat," he managed to say, his voice trembling. "She woke me up. She got us out." The paramedic glanced at Luna, who was now sitting calmly beside the children, her sharp green eyes watching every movement. "She's a smart one," he said with a faint smile. The family was quickly wrapped in warm blankets and given oxygen masks. The children's cheeks, pale moments before, began to regain their color as the clean air filled their lungs. Max, too young to understand the gravity of what had happened, clutched a blanket tightly and buried his face in Emma's shoulder. While the paramedics worked, firefighters entered the house to assess the situation. Minutes later, one of them emerged, shaking his head grimly. "Carbon monoxide levels are off the charts," he said. "That old furnace of yours was leaking gas straight into the vents. You're lucky to be alive." David looked at Luna, tears welling up in his eyes. He reached out to the cat, who nuzzled his hand gently. "We wouldn't be," he whispered, "if it weren't for her." The neighbors, drawn by the commotion, began gathering at a safe distance, their faces lit by the swirling lights of the emergency vehicles. Whispers of concern and disbelief rippled through the small crowd as they learned what had happened. One elderly woman clutched her chest, shaking her head. "That cat saved their lives," she murmured. As the paramedics continued their evaluations, Luna remained steadfast, staying close to the family. When a paramedic attempted to move her aside, she darted back to David, settling beside him with a quiet determination. "She's not leaving you," the paramedic remarked with a chuckle. "Looks like she's making sure her job is done." After ensuring the family was stable, the paramedics began preparing to take them to the hospital for further observation. David insisted on carrying Luna himself, cradling her in his arms as they were escorted to the ambulance. Inside the vehicle, the children, now more alert, clung to Luna, stroking her fur as they whispered their thanks. "You're the best kitty ever," Lily said softly, her eyes filled with gratitude. Luna responded with a gentle purr, her body finally relaxing after hours of relentless vigilance. At the hospital, doctors confirmed the seriousness of the situation. "Without your cat waking you up," one doctor explained, "you might not have made it through the night. Carbon monoxide poisoning is called the silent killer for a reason. She saved your lives." The weight of those words settled heavily on David and Emma. Looking at Luna, they felt an overwhelming mix of love and gratitude for the little cat who had protected them when they were most vulnerable. By the next morning, news of Luna's heroic actions had spread. Reporters arrived at the hospital, eager to meet the feline who had saved an entire family. The family hesitated at first, but David eventually agreed to share their story, hoping it would raise awareness about carbon monoxide safety. During an interview, David held Luna in his lap, stroking her fur as he spoke. "Luna isn't just our pet," he said. "She's our guardian. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't be sitting here today." The story of Luna's bravery quickly went viral, touching hearts around the world. Messages poured in from strangers who were inspired by the cat's instinct and love for her family. Many shared similar stories of their pets protecting them in unexpected ways. The morning after the harrowing night, the family sat together in their cozy hospital room, wrapped in blankets and recovering from the ordeal. Luna, now regarded as the family's hero, perched on the windowsill, her green eyes scanning the room as if still standing guard. The warmth of the sun streaming through the window felt like a new beginning, a stark contrast to the danger they had narrowly escaped. Doctors had assured David and Emma that the family was out of danger, though the emotional weight of what had happened lingered. "You're incredibly lucky," the lead physician said. "Carbon monoxide poisoning often doesn't give a second chance. Your cat's actions truly saved your lives." David nodded, his hand resting on Luna's back as she purred softly. "Lucky doesn't even cover it," he said. "She's not just a pet. She's family, and now she's our guardian angel." The family spent the day reflecting on the events, overwhelmed by gratitude for Luna's intuition and loyalty. Emma, holding a cup of tea, gazed at Luna with tears in her eyes. "She's been protecting us this whole time," she said softly, "even when we didn't realize we needed her." The news of Luna's heroism spread quickly throughout the neighborhood. Within days, their story was featured in local newspapers and on TV, sparking conversations about the importance of carbon monoxide safety. Reporters interviewed David and Emma, who used the opportunity to stress the importance of installing carbon monoxide detectors in every home. "If we'd had a working detector," David explained during one interview, "we would have known something was wrong long before it became life-threatening. We were lucky to have Luna, but not everyone has a hero like her." Luna, now dubbed the Miracle Cat by the media, became a symbol of loyalty and instinct. Photos of her lounging on the windowsill or nestled in Lily's arms circulated online, capturing the hearts of animal lovers around the world. Messages poured in from strangers who were inspired by Luna's bravery, many sharing their own stories of how pets had saved their lives. Returning home was an emotional experience for the family. Though the house felt familiar, the memories of that night were still fresh. Before stepping inside, David carefully tested the new carbon monoxide detectors they had installed in every room. "Never again," he muttered, his voice firm with resolve. Luna immediately resumed her role as the family's guardian. She patrolled the house with her usual vigilance, her sharp eyes and ears always on alert. Though the danger was gone, Luna's protective instincts remained as strong as ever. For Lily and Max, Luna became a larger-than-life figure. They told anyone who would listen about how their cat had saved the entire family. At school, Lily wrote an essay titled "My Hero," dedicating it to Luna. Her teacher, moved by the story, read it aloud to the class, sparking a discussion about pet safety and the unspoken bond between animals and cats. As the weeks turned into months, Luna's story continued to inspire. The family collaborated with local organizations to raise awareness about carbon monoxide safety, distributing free detectors to low-income families, and holding workshops on how to recognize the signs of poisoning. A local artist, touched by the story, painted a mural of Luna on the side of the town's community center. The artwork depicted her sitting proudly, her green eyes glinting with determination. Beneath it, a plaque read, "Luna, the Miracle Cat, a guardian who saved lives." The family also created a social media page dedicated to Luna, where they shared tips about pet safety and heartwarming stories of other animals who had performed heroic acts. The page quickly gained thousands of followers, turning Luna into a symbol of hope and the incredible connection between humans and their pets. For David, Emma, Lily, and Max, life was never quite the same after that night. Every moment with Luna felt like a gift, a reminder of the love and loyalty that animals offer unconditionally. Luna, of course, didn't seem to understand the fuss. She continued her daily routines of curling up in sunny spots, chasing ribbons with the kids, and keeping a watchful eye on her family. One evening, as the family gathered in the living room, Max snuggled up next to Luna and whispered, "You're my hero, Luna." The cat, as if understanding, gave a soft purr and rested her head on his lap. Emma smiled, her heart full. "She's not just our cat," she said. "She's a reminder to always pay attention to the quiet protectors in our lives. Sometimes they're the ones who save us when we least expect it." Luna's story wasn't just about a cat saving a family. It became a testament to the bonds we share with our pets, the instincts they possess, and the lengths they'll go to protect the ones they love. In their small suburban home, Luna remained a symbol of loyalty, bravery, and the quiet miracles that happen when we least expect them.